welcome y'all to Backwoods Obscura, a podcast dedicated to the lore, legends, and myths surrounding the creatures that may lurk in your backyard. My name's Hewitt.
I'm Chris. How you doing?
I am actually super great today. You can, for the general listeners at home, you cannot see this as this is an audio format. I'm filthy.
You are filthy. You're nasty.
Like, I have charcoal, dirt, spray paint, sawdust all on me because my parents took the kids for the weekend.
Yeah, you got to be like an adult without kids.
Yeah, I got to do crafting again that I usually don't. Like, I love my little one to death. Can't work with power tools with her because
yeah, you don't want to like poke an eye out.
No, not that. It's literally if I leave her alone in the house for a second, she is climbing the entertainment center now. So,
well, she's at that age where it's like
adventure.
It's time. I go on a quest.
YOLO.
Cheez-Its.
You say that, but she actually walked in the kitchen using my ball cap to hide herself. So she had my flying tiger hat and used it to cover her face, thinking I couldn't see her. And she reached up on the counter, grabbed a bag of cookies, and then slowly walked 3 steps and then full on ran loud as fuck through the rest of the kitchen to get back to the living room.
Oh no, is she going to be one of the, like...
She came back with them for me to open them because she could not open the bag of cookies. But, like, it's one of those I'm staring directly at my child going, it's when you fail your stealth check, but you win on the performance check.
Well, that at least you had some time to...
I do not have to pick up the baby until Monday sometime. And not early
you
Monday.
have spring break.
Yeah, I have spring break, and then I get the boy back Wednesday or Thursday. So, and she goes to daycare. So all I'm going to be doing this week is getting my homework done.
That's good.
And getting the Victory Garden planted. And I'm going to be posting the Victory Garden on TikTok and everywhere else that I can.
Ruby is doing similar. I mean, me and Ruby are doing similar, but she's really taking charge with it. She planted seeds this year. She's going to plant more seeds, and she's been like repeatedly tilling to make sure, you know.
Well, you saw that I've dug up like 50% of my old garden.
Yeah, and we were going to build like the raised beds, but we decided to go straight in the ground.
The reason I don't do that, or I hadn't for a while, is I had dogs. Weenie dogs.
Yeah.
And now I have a toddler.
Yeah.
Which means I'm probably just putting them on an easier access level for her by raising it. But at least she's not like going to...
Yeah, well, the difference here is that a weenie dog is not going to grow.
No.
A child is, but a child gets smarter as they grow older. So...
Yep.
But
Go ahead.
So I was, all I did today was help my mom.
Hey, she moved back in?
Yeah, she moved back in. I got to see the cats. One of the cats, her cat Funny, is like, you know, anxious type, so she was just hiding under the bed. But Cleopatra was like...
Where's your mom been staying?
At my brother's house.
Oh, poor Patty.
Yeah.
I'm not sorry, Nathan. If you listen, Nathan, I'm not sorry.
Yeah, she lived there for about 4 weeks while they got everything done. Everything looks good. I'm really happy to see everything good. And thankfully, this only took 1 trip. Well, technically 2 trips because we had to get the stuff from Nate's house. But for the most part, it was smooth and just everything worked out good.
Yeah.
I was tired. And I'm also taking... I don't have spring break off, but I am taking like at least 2 days off. PTO because I'm just need some time for myself, clean up, get everything done.
What days are you taking off?
Monday and Tuesday.
Want to tag along to pick up the little girl and then go to Jackson to the Bass Pro Shop?
I might. I'll see how I feel and see how much money I have.
You don't got to spend money at the Bass Pro. I intend to spend money at the Bass Pro Shop. I need a new Easter shirt and I'm a fat boy. Also, I can take the baby to look at the fish.
You're talking about going to the Bass Pro Shop and not spending any money.
You can spend $5 and get like 3 bags of bait.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I could get a new rod and reel.
No, you don't need to get a new
And
rod
I
and
don't
reel.
need to get a new rod and reel. We'll see. But yeah. I haven't done much. Mostly just chilling.
Cool. Now, we were talking about my kids earlier. What is something that most kids fear?
The dark?
Yeah, that's one of them, but not the one I'm going with.
Something under their bed. Or in their closet.
Technically, one of these does that, yes, but no.
Dogs.
Hags. Hags or witches.
Oh, okay. Yeah, hags. I mean,
that one's in the top 35. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's like we could have made a whole podcast on what kids are scared of, really.
Yeah, that's pretty
kids
easy.
Are scared of quite a lot, and I mean, there's whole ass movies. But hags, I mean, it makes sense. Hags, witches.
Now, let's make sure to establish this early in this episode. I will be talking about some very specific hags or witches. This does not necessarily denote the Wiccan faith, and we are not using the word hag as a derogatory term for an old woman. While yes, the history that the word hag does denote an old woman that is usually not considered attractive, that lives on the outskirts of town, who most of the time is also considered a
wit. Yeah, there's obviously some misogynistic or sexist elements to it, but
there is. But I'm not using any of those. Well, with one of them, I will denote there is some sexism that appears in it that is actually connected to that one's history specifically. But the reason I did this is I was looking online for creepy stuff in Appalachia.
As you do.
And Appalachia does not fail to provide in that situation, because as much as I feel like you and I would be perfectly fine in Appalachia, I fully believe the close your windows, don't look outside at night.
Yeah, the whole
superstition thing. Like, if something knocks on the door at midnight, don't answer, don't even acknowledge it.
I mean, that's just like
common sense.
Yeah.
But like, okay, so like one time a dude's taking the trash out in a TikTok Emily showed me, and all of a sudden they heard a screech, and it's like, okay, so either it is a cougar, a crackhead, or some of the other creepy stuff that's out in, like, a cryptid from Appalachia. He threw the trash down, or he dropped the trash on the ground. Nope, get it in the morning, and went back inside and locked his door. And my response is, good call, because I don't want to deal with any of that. I would put more on the crackhead.
I would put more on the cougar.
Cougars aren't supposed to be in Appalachia. They're almost a cryptid, I found out.
Mm.
So I have a long series of lists, like one of which that was still on that website for Monsters Appalachia is the Wolf Woman of Mobile, Alabama, which is not Appalachia, but neat story I started reading.
In Alabama, in the, what is the Appalachian Trail?
Northern Alabama is, but
it starts there,
not Mobile.
Or ends there. Yeah, not Mobile, obviously. I would... Sorry, my brain just went to like true crime on the Appalachian Trail for some reason.
So I did some research, and like I told you before we started recording, I have several stored up because I had a week without classes because I turned in all my stuffs. So I saw one that was named Granny Blackteeth.
That's a name.
Yeah, it's a name. And
she drinks a lot of fluoride, I bet.
No.
No, it discolors your teeth. That's, yeah. Like if you have too much fluoride.
Are you over here saying that we need to take it out of the water?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the way they discovered fluoride is that this town had like no cavities, but their teeth were discolored, and they realized that there was fluoride in the water, but it was at a much higher amount than what you would find.
I was going to throw something at you and be mean, but and that
I'm not RFK.
No, but Granny Blackteeth led me to another one, and then led me to the one that's going to end up being the main focus of this episode. So really, the name of this episode could be, I've got listed on my document as Granny Blackteeth and the Boo Hag, but you could just say Southern Witches. Whatever future Chris wants to name this, but this is one of those that it's kind of like with the Bagman. I started looking up one thing, and then I found something else, and it kept
rolling.
Going. Like, this, I will not lie, this is some of the most fun. The reason I picked this one document is this is some of the most fun I've had researching in a minute. And I don't have some of the sources listed that I used because I lost internet at work.
Oh, that's fun.
And I typed information, but I hadn't copied the citation off of Google Scholar. Because there is legitimate scholarly research into some of these. So let me start with Granny Blackteeth, who sounds like a awesome D&D encounter, just from the name.
Oh, Granny Blackteeth.
Now, Granny Blackteeth appears with dry skin that resembles cracked clay. Like, her skin is so dry and her wrinkles are so deep, it looks like just mud that has dried and cracked and started to flake.
Okay.
She has long, white, stringy hair, long, gnarled fingers, sunken, black, hollow eyes that in one version of the story had little yellow ember pricks in the dead center that seemed to draw you into them. Blackened teeth, which is where she gets her name, and a mouth that drips a black ichor.
Whoops.
She wears a tattered lace veil, an old torn gown, and has over her shoulders the remains of a tattered blanket. This is a lich.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds... I mean, she's, like, straying out of the hag territory. I'm sorry, we might actually get into, like, D&D talk, because we do play D&D.
A lot.
Yeah.
New
I
game.
mean, it's, if you've been following the podcast at this point, you
We're
know...
nerds. We're nerds.
We're huge
Like,
nerds. I've talked about both Magic and D&D. We equate things to D&D and Pathfinder.
and Star Wars.
But... Like, I mean, I like Star Wars, but I'm not, like, huge into Star Wars. But, yeah, if we start D&D now, just talking about stat blocks and shit, I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to get into
sorry.
stat blocks, but I'm saying, like, the description of her is very much almost undead. But at the same time, like, if you look at some of the older stories about hags and witches, they don't look just like the Wicked Witch of the West, or... It's not just an old lady with a crooked nose. It's like some of these creatures, like if you ever deal with Frapprecha, or God forbid you ever have to deal with Baba Yaga, they don't exactly have normal physiology in their descriptions.
They're very Euclidean. What is the Lovecraftian term?
Technically, we're all Euclidean because we are all non-Euclidean because non-Euclidean means you have curves. That's all that means.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about like the Lovecraftian use.
It would be non-Euclidean geometry.
Yeah.
Would be the Lovecraftian thing. There's aspects that are off.
Yeah.
But she lives in the hollows of Appalachia. Specifically, most of the stories come from southwestern Pennsylvania. The only animal that seems to like her are crows. She's good with crows.
Makes sense. Crows are assholes.
Now, do not slander my good friends Emily keeps getting mad at me because it's technically violating a state law to befriend them in Louisiana.
Well, I say asshole lovingly, and I think I'm more talking about ravens anyway. Cause
don't you besmirch ravens with me either. I want to bribe them to become their friends, and then maybe they'll bring me money.
It's like here's a shiny rock. Bring me $100 bill.
The number of times Emily has forbid me to build an offrey in the backyard of just like taking some of the extra like tin that I've used to make roofs to put out there, and then just scatter like seed and nut on it for the crows in the neighborhood. They will pay you for it and bring you something. If they see that you like coins or something, they will start finding street coins. The reason that it's illegal is because someone did train crows and ravens to steal money.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like,
look, that's a good entrepreneurial spirit, okay?
In this economy.
In this economy.
Now, most of the stories about Granny Blackteeth are passed down orally, and it's folk tradition from Appalachia. There's a couple places I saw stories written down about her, but it was pretty much the exact same story. And that story... so before I jumping ahead... The signs that she is near is that the woods go silent, which is always a bad fucking sign.
Yeah, that's like a telltale sign of something bad happened.
A murder of crows may appear.
Okay.
Or a absolute feeling of dread or unease while you're in the middle of the woods, which, not cool.
Not cool, and also kind of common. Like, if you're lost in the woods...
And then you realize you're lost in the woods, you immediately have a moment of, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway, the main story is about a man named Chester Brooks who got lost in the woods in Pennsylvania. He had to bed down for the night, and that is when he started to become uneasy as he tried to eat. And he became so uneasy, he started to get nauseous, so he did not finish eating his meal. He's like, you know what, I'm just going to go to sleep. If I go to sleep, I'll wake up and it'll be tomorrow, and I won't be dealing with this now. Let me do the actual version of time travel humans can do, and just log out for a couple minutes.
Yeah, I just need to go. I need to not be here.
Now, he decided, like, he tried to sleep, he tried to eat, he couldn't do either. So he's like, you know what? I know it's night, I know it's dangerous, but I feel this place is worse, so I'm just going to push on. I'm going to move. I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to keep going. And that is when Granny Blackteeth leaned out from behind a tree.
That's not something you want to see in the woods.
And not a tree that was big enough to hide a full-grown person.
Oh, so it does like the cartoon thing. It's like, how are you behind that? Yes.
So she appeared from behind a tree, and she did.
What are you doing here on my land, Chester Brooks?
Future Chris, please make that sound cooler.
I'm going to make it sound dumber.
That's fine. Just audio edit and then edit out me and Chris talking about it.
Now it's not going to go.
Oh, damn it.
Anyway.
He then grabbed his Bible and began to pray, and when he went to flee, he passed the fuck out. Like, just...
I just like the idea if he's like, oh fuck, I gotta pray, I gotta run. Down.
Jesus, take the wheel. Out. He awoke the next day, like 15 minutes outside of town, just next to the road.
Oh, so she helped him.
Yeah. In some versions, she knew his middle name.
Oh, she pulled like, I'm your mother and you're in trouble.
Yeah, but also, like, going back to saying that witches are hags, hags are fae. And if a hag knows your full name...
I'm just looking at that.
Hold on. If a hag knows your full name...
You're in trouble.
Yeah, because if any fae knows your full name, it's an issue.
Yeah, because okay, D&D talk. Technically, hags are fae.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking D&D, dude.
Yeah,
I'm talking about legit.
I know, we're not talking about D&D, but legit. Yeah.
Well, in D&D, yes, hags are associated with fae, but like hag are usually unseelie fae, or they are what used to be like a seelie fae that's fallen. Like, they might have been beautiful and then they became twisted and it's like the difference between a brownie and a boggart. They're the same thing until you piss the brownie off and then it becomes a boggart.
Yeah.
So hags are fae, and the problem with the fae knowing your whole name is that there's power over you. This is the reason why the Spanish never could be taken over by the fae, because you got like 85 names as like a Spanish noble.
They're like, we're going to make sure we're inoculated against this. Just, my name is James Bruce O'Brien Annabelle. Fuck it. And just go down.
Well, I mean, you are Antonio de Saint Marcan, Saint Louis, Saint Joseph. Like, you got like 8 Christian names in there. And like one of them might not even be the same language, just to throw something off. It's like, I have known 8 of your names, mortal. Yeah, man, I got like 3 more I can give you before I'm anywhere near trouble with you.
It's like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's like Harry Blackstone Copperfield Dresden is his full name. Like, he has 4 names as a wizard in the Dresden verse, because a lot of people know Harry Dresden, but they don't know his full name.
Yeah,
and so, like, some of the wizards have Like, one of the wizards that, like a lot of the creatures have a ton of problems with is Medicine Joe, who is a Native American shaman who God only knows how old he is. He mentioned being in his middle years when the white man first came to this continent. So, like, he might have been 40 when the first colonizers showed up. No one knows what his real name is in the book except, like, Harry's grandpa. Like, because they're friends, they know each other's full names, but, like, just like Old Joe or Medicine Joe, or like they don't say his real name. And so, like, so many supernatural creatures, when he shows up, they're like, fuck. Anyway, this then led me down a trail of other witch stories or hag stories. So there's the Mill Witch.
The Mill Witch.
The Mill Witch. Now, she appeared as a young, beautiful woman when she first showed up. She was short with light-colored skin, similar to that of caramel, that had been mixed with milk.
Okay, so we're talking about someone that's like mixed race or light-skinned.
Very light-skinned or very tanned. She had long, dark, curly hair, had piercing green eyes. Now, she caught the attention of a miller. And, well, as things go, young Miller, pretty successful in town. He was a free man of color in North Carolina. And they married. And immediately, things started to get weird. People stopped coming by the mill. Now, he would go get stuff from people, but they wouldn't. He had to come bring it to the mill and bring it back to them. They would not come to the mill themselves with their goods for him to mill the corn or mill the wheat. But he was still happy because, he's probably closer to 30. She was probably closer to 20, but he'd always lived by himself since his parents died. He's got a pretty young thing that's with him, right? Envy of the town for a minute, then very quickly not. But he's a hardworking man, and he focuses on being a hardworking man. Now,
he's a hard-working man doing what he can. I tried to rhyme, but it didn't.
Doing in the pre-Civil War as a free man of color in North Carolina.
True. Yeah.
Like, just amp up all the difficulty factors for this dude. Right? So, the unease meant more and more people were less energetic to come by and see the mill. Also, people noticed that the miller started to become a little sallow in his complexion. He was a free man of color, but he was darker, but he started to become kind of pale, and his lips became a little ashen and a little blue.
I'm also realizing, free man of color pre-Civil War, with potentially a woman that maybe is mixed or is just not fair-skinned, but light-skinned.
So, but people also noticed there wasn't as much pep in his step after a while. He seemed kind of tired and worn out, and he had
he a peppy person?
He was supposed to be a big man, a strong man, and he just seemed less
tired out.
Yes. But, at the same time, some people wrote it off as, well, he just got married. You know what it's like when you just get married.
Oh, yeah. You get your life essence sucked out by a hag.
Now, the mill was also a stop on the Underground Railroad. However, people generally did not stay long due to the unease. Because sometimes stops on the Underground Railroad, you wouldn't be there just for one night. You might be there for a couple days, restock on supplies, and keep going, especially if the next stop is not going to be for a while. And let's be honest, North Carolina's not that far to the south compared to where we are.
Yeah.
Now, one night, a young boy was hid in the barn, and he saw a large black cat moving through the building as if it was searching for something. This cat was so big. It was bigger than a large dog. And in a couple of the versions of the story that I read, it was nearly as large as a donkey.
So this is like
Panther. This is like a panther show.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a panther / fucking tiger that someone painted black.
Now, she found him up in the loft, or this cat found him up in the loft, and he grabbed a cane knife, a sugar cane knife. So, have you seen a sugar cane knife?
I'll look it up on my phone.
Yeah, my phone's charging in the back, so give him a second. I want him to see what this thing looked like, a sugar cane knife.
Oh, yeah. I've seen one of those.
Let me see that again. Let me see it. Make sure I'm thinking of the same thing. Yep.
It's like
basically a fat ass machete with a hook.
Yeah. It almost has like a kukri vibe to it, but it has like a more pronounced hook on the end.
Yeah, well, I mean the hook's there so you can rip around a skinnier cane and pull, and then you hack the thicker canes. So, I mean, he grabbed one of those and took the creature's right paw off, and it ran off because it had been depawed. The next morning, the boy brought the man the paw and then said, "I have to go. I cannot stay here. This is an evil place." So he saw the paw and he was like, there aren't panthers here. There aren't cougars here. This is huge. So he went upstairs and his wife was in bed. And he asked, "Honey, I need you to get up. We got something weird's happening. There's a big cat. I need you to make me some food because I'm going to go out and hunt it because we can't have this in the neighborhood. Like, we can't have this terrorizing the countryside." And she was like, "I'm not getting up."
I already know where this is going.
Eventually, when he pulled the covers back, he saw that his wife was missing her right hand. And the boy also told some of the townspeople, and they ran to the mill because they didn't want the miller to be her next victim. And eventually what happened is they pulled her from the house and they burned her as a witch.
Of course, as you do.
Some stories is they tied her to a post and burned her. Others is they stuck her in pitch and lit her on fire. Which, for anybody that doesn't know, pitch is basically tar.
Yeah. On another note, it sounds like this town really cared about this guy.
Yeah. Now, eventually he remarried and he lived happily ever after.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Now, let me tell you a little bit about this story that's more interesting to me than the story of the Mill Witch. And it led me down further in this trail that led me to what's going to be the main focus. Is this story was recorded during the Federal Writers Project, the WPA, or the FWP, as part of the Slave Narrative Project in the New Deal. So yeah, actually it was part of the WPA. The project recorded over 2,300 stories from former slaves that were in their 80s and 90s in the 1930s. Originally told by Mr. Richard Morning, a former slave who lived in Raleigh and was 86 years old at the time of the interview. So he was born in the 1850s. So that's one of the things that a lot of people forget.
So he would have been...
He was 86.
He was coming of age.
He would have been almost 10 by the time the Civil War is going on.
Yeah.
So, and this is something I knew, but I don't actively think about, and a lot of people I know don't think about, is that up until almost World War II, we had people who had been slaves or were born before slavery was abolished.
Yeah.
Still alive when World War II hit. So, like, to understand how short of a time frame.
Okay, so yeah, like, no, we've talked about this before because I met my great grandmother. I was a child, and she had dementia. So, and she was like 94 years old at the time. But I mean, she remembered coming here rather, when, you know, on a cart in like the early 1900s, like not even 1910s, like 19.
Well, I mean, my great-grandmother was born in 1903, and she didn't have an electrical light until the 1920s.
Yeah.
In her house. Like, so, but she grew up backwoods, Mississippi.
And the thing is, it goes back to what you said. It's like, time is not as long as you think it is.
No, like, the thing is like, again, people think the Civil Rights Movement was forever ago. That was 10 years before you or I were born.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, civil rights is still going on.
Technically, I mean,
unfortunately.
well, you're talking about the Civil Rights Act and things like that.
I'm talking the major civil rights movement. Yeah. Now, before I start delving into what's connected to the Mill Witch, is I wanted to touch on something known as Appalachian Granny Magic.
That's a name.
Oh wait, sorry. I'm going to come back to Appalachian Granny Magic. I almost skipped over one, a tiny little one, from the city of Abbeville, Alabama. Specific cryptid for Abbeville, Alabama. Her name is Huggin' Molly, and she is a witch. She might be a witch, but she also could just be a terrible cryptid because she appears as a 7-foot-tall woman in black, or looks like a 7-foot-tall woman in black.
That's a pretty tall lady.
Yeah. It's kind of like how pirates from like really far away kind of look like they might be a noble, but when you get up, you see the stitches and the patches.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. From far away and you squint your eyes, that's a tall woman. The closer you get, the more Lovecraftian this creature might be. Now, she is said to be as big around as a cotton bale, which means she's almost as big around as she is tall. She will grab and hug you if you're out late at night in Abbeville, Alabama. She will then yell in your ear until it rings and either makes you pass out or she lets you go. There's a soda shop named after her that actually has really affordable meals.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. She is a very localized cryptid that 100% is just telling kids, don't you fucking go out at night. She'll hug you and scream it. A 7-foot-tall big lady. A big dommy mommy witch is going to come out of nowhere and yell in your ear.
I'm just thinking of the... have you ever seen the Come to Daddy? I know it's a...
I have not. I don't live on the internet.
Well, no, it's a music video by Aphex Twin.
I barely know what Apex Twins is.
It's an EDM band. They did a lot of wild stuff back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Music nerd.
It's not even that deep. I mean, it's just Aphex Twin. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, this is an interesting story. I want to hear about Miss Granny Smith.
Okay, so Appalachian Granny Magic. There is no Granny Smith. Now, what Appalachian Granny Magic is a large collection of folklore and beliefs that have been passed down for generations. More originating in rural Europe and then eventually combined with Cherokee and Choctaw beliefs is what a lot of people, their grandmothers, and it's been passed down lady to lady. Like, this is like the ladies' club of the Appalachian Mountains passed down this knowledge.
Right. Okay.
Now, also some African folk medicine made its way into it, so it is kind of like one of the most magical American melding, like the true cauldron of melding cultures might be Appalachian Granny Magic.
And it's a great name too.
Now, grannies or granny witches are older women who serve as midwives, healers, and the spoken history retainers, mostly because they live longer than their husbands who worked in mines, or the railroad, or logging,
when
or
you
mills.
Die at 70 or 80 and he dies at 40, I mean...
Yeah, it's one of those, like, the amount of blue-collar work that is hella unsafe in Appalachia is redonkulous. Like, I've been there.
Why people, like, I don't get why people are like, let's bring back the coal. It's like, do we really need...
Oh, my thing is, like, I've been to Pike County, Kentucky to roof a lady's house. It's the only time I fell off a house and up a mountain in the same process because I landed on a ledge. So I was technically higher than where my feet were when I lost my footing because my upper back hit the ledge and I was able to scoop myself up, and I realized that's how close to the fucking mountain this lady's house was.
Jeez.
And that's also probably why she had a hole in her roof, is rock fall off. But absolute poverty when mines close, but also you'll see like mansions, like massive would-be faux plantation fucking mansions in one holla. And then when you go into the next one, it's trailer parks. Poverty trailer parks, like where these people that are getting paid still making minimum wage to work somewhere, like it's the wealth disparity in this region is absolutely sickening. And
oh yeah, and when I say, like, you know, we shouldn't bring like coal back, I don't mean like kick people out of jobs,
Yeah,
obviously.
but I mean, the reason that
And-
granny magic still works or still pops up in this region is people look to alternative medicines because they can't afford some of the others. Also, if your granny knows how to make sure a toothache goes away, you're probably going to go to her before you go to a doctor because you trust her more. Now, let's see. Yeah, most of the grannies still are Christian, but function more like old rule European or former Christianity that still have some pretty heavy pagan roots and superstitions and practices.
This is kind of like a hoodoo or voodoo sort of situation.
It's not quite that.
Well, I just mean it's more syncretionist in the sense that it's like
it's a little bit. But I mean, the big thing is like there's always like if you go back to the Middle Ages in Europe, there is the Christianity that was practiced in the cities. And then there's the Christianity that was practiced by the people out on the farm.
who were more
Still,
paganistic.
they still had a lot of those pagan tendencies. Like, all right, it's the fall festival. We're going to carve pumpkins, or we're going like they're the ones who brought a tree or burned the Yule log still.
Yeah.
That eventually became the Christmas tree.
Pagan is another term for rural people.
Yeah, I'm just saying they had a lot of those traditions still, and they carried over. Like the Appalachians were settled mostly by Irish, Scotch, and Cornishmen from England, and some Welsh. So these are people that lived on the edge of England, and then they moved there, and they just brought over
a whole bunch of other things. Yeah.
Now, in other, they don't act like modern Christians, and some modern Christians have mislabeled them as Wiccan or some different flavor of pagan. Now, there are a couple folks that do fully claim to be pagan that do this, but for the most part, what Appalachian granny magic is herbalism and folk wisdom. Like, you know that willow bark is an anti-inflammatory, so you get somebody to chew that while you go get something else to bandage up a sore spot, or you cover up the bleeding. Like, you might make a tincture using ginger and vodka because it can cure certain things.
Or it can alleviate certain things, yeah.
So, I mean, really what granny magic is mostly herbalism and folklore. Like, to quote Terry Pratchett, whenever the witches show up, the witches practice headology more than magic. And headology is, if I can convince you that you're better, you're better. So if I make you think you're better, and then your wound heals, and you're able to ignore the headache or you move on, I don't have to do actual magic because I found a way to work around.
Work on placebo.
It's not so much placebo, because the way it works in Discworld is like that person is better. The headache is completely gone.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying in terms of like comparison to a real world.
I guess, but the big thing is that you don't have to use actual magic if you can think your way around the problem, because magic doesn't make anything better, is the way the witches put it.
Oh.
So if we can find a way to make it, and you think I did magic on you, more power here. So they call it headology, and that's what I got from this. This is 100% folk wisdom, make you better, fix a couple little things. If you got a broken bone, and I said it, cool, but you might still want to go see a doctor,
right?
About some of this, but and I thought it was really cool. Like, I'll be honest, more than you, I probably would trust some granny magic, because it's like I just go, hey, mama, my hand.
Hey, can you do something about this burn? Oh, that's mustard. Oh, okay.
Now, all in all, this led me down a pathway, especially the Mill Witch, to something called the Boo Hag.
I like how are we going back into something that's spooky? Because like the granny magic seemed more
I'm all helpful. I am all over the place with this, because again, I loved this when it's like there's so many doors, and there are so many I didn't actually go through. Like, there's more stories along these lines I could find, and what I'm about to tell you, I really want to look into more, or I think you would really enjoy looking into it, because we're going to get into Gullah Geechee culture. Do you know about the Gullah Geechee?
Nothing.
Okay, so I will skip ahead on my notes down to Gullah Geechee. So, the Boo Hag, which I'm going to tell you about here in a second, comes from Gullah Geechee culture off the coast of South Carolina and Georgia. The Gullah Geechee is a unique blend of multiple West African cultures and English culture. They have their own language and are recognized as a distinct cultural group of Americans. The name comes from, the name is for a group of Creole English-speaking people of African descent on the Gullah Islands near South Carolina and the Geechee River, or the Ogeechee River. Sorry, the Ogeechee River in Georgia. The language is largely English with many loan words from several West African languages and is a lot more like Caribbean English than mainland English. So someone from Barbados or Jamaica would understand Gullah Geechee easier than someone from South Carolina or Georgia that's not from the coast and dealt with the culture.
So, I mean, I was going to mention Creole or Cajun in terms of that, or like the German communities that are in.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Like, I don't know how many people, like, outside of the U.S. don't realize that there are, like, these little subcultures that are highly...
so many pockets.
Yeah, there's so many pockets of, like... And I guess people know about stuff like the Mennonites or...
Please don't get me started on them. I've learned some disturbing facts.
I know... I wasn't saying... We're not talking about that. I'm just saying, like, them and... What was the other one?
Amish.
Kind of like these very tight-knit subcultures are like very regionalized subcultures.
Mm-hmm. Now, the Gullah Geechee culture developed due to prolonged isolation from mainland whites due to the distance between the majority island plantations and the rest of the southern geography. So they're on these islands. They're hard to get to. The slaves are farming. There are some whites there, but it's the slave, like the person that owns the plantation, very rarely would actually be there. Like when we went to McRaven House, they had a plantation in Louisiana and their town home was in Vicksburg.
Right.
If you go to Longwood Natchez, that guy had 5 plantations in Louisiana and Longwood was his show home. So a lot of these hyper wealthy individuals had multiple plantations, but they did not.
Yeah, they didn't actually... Like, it's not like in the movies where they have the home or the plantation.
Well, they did. It's just they didn't always, like if you had a big plantation home in New Orleans, like when we talked about the Lalauries, they lived there during the season. And then when summer hit and like yellow fever would start flaring up because you got so many people in an area with poor plumbing that floods, then you would go out to your plantation.
And so you'd be like, yeah.
And your house would be maintained, but you'd be out there so you wouldn't get sick. So the hyper wealthy during this time period had so many different land holdings. But so they're isolated. Now, also during the Civil War, the plantation owners abandoned the islands out of fear of Union attack. So the Gullah Geechee were some of the first slaves to be freed during the Civil War.
So they were just sitting there, not really having much connection with anybody, and then someone came by and was like, "Hey, y'all are free now, bye." And
they're like, "The fuck does that mean?" And they just left because no one told the Union Army how to deal with freed slaves. Like when they started freeing some of these slaves, like taking over areas, like
I mean, I know like some of the companies were freed slaves and everything.
Eventually,
but I guess that was like
early
on.
In the war, like first year of the war, like the Beast Butler that came down to New Orleans. One of the things he got in trouble for is he considered slaves contraband, and he took them and sold them. God. I don't like. Okay, look, the dude helped free New Orleans from Confederate control. He's still a son of a bitch, though. Like he's a bad guy on the right side. Now, after the Civil War, the white landowners did not come back due to the cost, now that they'd have to pay everybody. Hurricanes hit the area, so they didn't want to rebuild, which left the folks there to continue developing their own culture and their ways pretty much through the rest of the 1800s. So, like, the next 40 years, this already isolated culture was almost completely isolated.
And they just kind of grew and developed on this island?
Yeah, kept doing their thing. Now, connected to this, the Gullah Geechee also practice hoodoo, cousin to voodoo and voodoo. So there's a lot of stories that they have and a lot of beliefs they have that are similar to South Louisiana. Like, they know who the barons are. They know who Damballa is. So it's related. Now, a lot of the stories written down about the Boo Hag were written down as part of the Slave Narrative Project as well, just like the Mill Witch. In fact, the Mill Witch is considered a Boo Hag story, but not a full Boo Hag story because she doesn't act 100% like a Boo Hag. The musician Frank Whitaker also wrote a song called Boo Hag Woman, which kind of leads into the sexism. Also, another random fact before I jump into the Boo Hag. The Gullah Geechee are the first people probably to make black-eyed peas in the United States.
Well, thank you.
Because black-eyed peas are fucking delicious.
I can eat a whole bowl of them.
Like, okay, tell me, which, with black-eyed peas, bacon, or do you want a hawk in there? Or salt pork, or salt pork?
Hawk or salt pork?
I end up doing bacon a lot because I can't get the other. Or I got family members that are like, why is there a giant... Shut up and just eat it.
What is the bone? It's like when you put a ham hock in.
Don't
like
eat the bone.
Beans and rice.
Don't eat the bone. Don't eat the bone. Eat everything else. Now, the Boo Hag. The Boo Hag resembles a beautiful young woman that takes the appearance of whatever the victim finds the most attractive. So she's a shapeshifter. At night, she will peel out of her skin and look like a gnarled old woman covered in warts and cracked, wrinkled skin that is still wet. Like it's
this like a witch situation,
yeah.
like the old movie Witches?
Yes. Like she crawls out of her skin and like she somehow looks dry and ashy, but if you were to touch her, she'd be like rubbery and wet with blood.
If you're too young to know what that movie is, it was a movie.
They remade it like a decade ago.
Did they? Oh yeah,
Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway was the witch. Yeah.
The original one, way fucking scarier because like the CG. Like, okay, the CG in the new one wasn't terrible, but the practical effects of the first one.
I mean, they just hit different. Like, I don't like. Maybe it's just we're showing our age now, but like practical effects back in the day would hit different than just having a bunch of special.
It made the Uncanny Valley like just a tiny bit more. Also, the fact that the noses wiggled because it was just fucking latex. So all of a sudden she's talking, the nose is still doing this. You're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Now, at night, they may drink their husband's blood, steal their voices, or cause terrible nightmares. They would then ride their husbands like horses for miles at night, putting them... Yeah, I knew you were going to start fucking laughing.
Gonna suck your blood, and then I'm gonna ride you off into the sunset.
Yeah. God damn it.
You could have got a lot dirtier, you know?
Yeah, you could have. But anyway, they would put their husbands into trances, or their victims, if they weren't married to them, and then ride them for hours, leaving them to wake up feeling exhausted, drained, and feeling like they had been whipped.
I bet they would.
Now, they would also sometimes pin their victims to the bed and cause terrible hallucinogenic dreams and feed off the anxiety and fear. So they're very similar to...
a Kikamori?
Kikamori or the Kushma.
Just sit on you and just be like, hey, guess what? Existential dread, motherfucker.
Now, eventually, they would exhaust their husband or victims to death.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, they can also sneak into and out of a house through a opening as small as a keyhole.
So they're like an octopus.
Yeah. They're also similar to the Crusoe because they would leave their skin behind.
Yeah.
So it's like the Kushma or the Kikamori. It's like the Crusoe. It's like a succubus. It's like a witch. The Boo Hag is like hitting check marks for like this is us playing like Phasmophobia, going, what is it? We've checked off everything. Now they had to be back by dawn, or else they would burn up.
Like the Crusoe. Yeah.
Men are powerless against the Boo Hag.
So men can't do nothing.
Men, once they are in the house, or they have, like, if they come into your house and they're visiting you at night, man can't do anything. If you married her and she's in your house all the time, can't do anything. Men are completely powerless once affected by the Boo Hag. This gets into a bit of the sexism that we can discuss later, because you've just pretty much relieve the man of any
wrongdoing
in this situation. So you would have to get a powerful hoodoo priestess or herbal healing woman to cleanse the house.
So you would need your own version of the priest coming into the house. And
now, ways that one becomes a boo hag or you create a boo hag. One, you sell your soul to the devil.
Of course.
But that's here on Backwoods Obscura, there is a checklist that we know that I'm going to list it every time something pops up, but Chris and I are both looking at it going, all right, possessed by the devil, orbs, shadow people, cold spots, soldier soul, crossroads, got it.
Yeah.
We've heard these 1,000 times before, my lad. Or you make a deal with the Loa, not one of the good Loa, or you make a deal with another type of evil spirit. Or, no matter if you're a man or woman, if you die a terrible death, you can come back as a female ghost known as a boo hag. So you could be a dude, die horribly,
then come back as a woman.
As the boo hag.
I mean, some people,
hey,
it works for them.
Or be a necromancer.
Okay, cool.
Or practice other dark arts and get tainted by them.
So you become a lich.
Yep. Eat Popeyes. No, that's a joke.
Okay.
That's a joke.
I was about to be like,
no, it would be Cane's, man. It would dry you out, and that's why you look all dry and cracked. Now, but be a necromancer or perform other dark arts. Now, how does one stop the boo hag?
Fire.
One, don't marry one or let it in your house.
I mean, that's like saying
all the websites when I was looking at it's like how to deal with a boo hag. One, don't marry it, don't let it in your house. Okay, provided that we didn't do step 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's like how do you avoid a rattlesnake? Don't approach it. It's like,
well, it fell out the sky on me. We're here now.
Yeah.
Leave a broom out. They will have to count the strands.
Okay, so that's like a rougarou or
a vampire.
Yeah.
Throw out rice or sesame seeds, or place a colander outside, or put the colander above your bed. They will have to count all the grains. I mean, it's better than the rougarou. The rougarou only gets 12.
Yeah, the rougarou just kind of restarts and gets kerfuffled about like anything above 12.
This is one I love. Sleep with a fork or a knife under your pillow and stab it when it tries to ride you. Remember, I told you this with the Crusoe. Keep a knife under your pillow, so when the Crusoe shows up, you stab it. I'm like, okay, so 1, don't marry it. 2, don't let it in your house. 3, put out a bunch of shit so it has to count. If it's past this, keep a knife on you, kid. Like, this is the most legitimately, like, folk wisdom way to deal with the supernatural. Like, what happens if it gets in? Well, keep a knife in your house. You got a knife, right?
Eventually, everything just comes to, straight violence.
Next one, keep a loaded gun over your bed or by your bed because the boo hag hates the smell of gunpowder.
Oh, okay. Why don't you just...
shoot it. That was the next step was, or shoot it.
Well... I think that'll work for most things.
It's like one of those, like, stab it. Okay, cool. Keep a gun by. Okay, so I can shoot. Yeah, but also I don't like the smell of gunpowder. But provided that it can power through, like it took like an antihistamine, shoot it. It's like, motherfucker.
Why don't I just use the gun in the first place?
All right, next. Throw the boo hag into pitch and light it on fire. That's one way to get rid of a boo hag and stop it. Is you throw it into pitch and light it on fire.
So if all the other contingencies didn't work,
fire.
At least there's fire.
Pour salt and pepper into the empty skin so that it cannot put it back on.
So you slug it.
Yeah, because it cannot get back in. One of the stories I read is there's 2 men that married women on the same day. And one of them started getting sick and feeling weak, and the other one didn't. It's like, man, you married a boo hag. And, like, he rolled over in the middle of the night, and it looked like his wife left her nightgown. And so the next day he told his friend, he's like, no, dude, that's a boo hag. Put salt and pepper in it. And so he did, and then so that she couldn't get the skin back on. So the next day he rolled over and touched her, and she was slimy. So he wrapped her up in the blanket, threw her in a big barrel of pitch, and lit it on fire. I'm believing, like, we're going to get to it here in a second. There's some of these stories that are very much just like, it seems like they advocate violence against women who go out at night.
Isn't that a lot of like female-centric like specters and ghouls?
Now, this one gets into something that we've talked a little bit about because it gets into part of the economy of the 1700s. Put blue bottles in a tree. Or, specifically, in a lot of cases, it was take glass that had been dyed blue with indigo. Because in the 17 and 1800s, South Carolina, especially, the biggest crop they had other than cotton was growing indigo. And place it in a tree. Now, the glass was supposed to ward off or trap spirits. This tradition can be found all over the South today because there are bottle trees everywhere, especially the people that take like a piece of rebarb and weld bits onto it and then put bottles on. Now, most of the time they put brown and green bottles, like they're extra wine bottles, but it was supposed to be blue. Now, what would happen is the spirits would go into the bottle to see what's up, maybe try to get a little bit of that last drop of liquor, and because the bottle was more narrow at the bottom and they shoved themselves into it, they couldn't get back out. Okay. So like a lobster trap. This connects to a color known as haint blue. And you know haint blue by another name. It's called robin's egg blue. You would take indigo and lime and you would mix it to make a light blue, the same color as the sky, and this color has been noted to scare off evil spirits. So, throughout the South, but especially in South Carolina, blue shutters, blue doors, and especially South Carolina, blue shingles on your roof. Haint blue spread from South Carolina across the whole South and even up into southern parts of Indiana because Emily had heard of this. And haint blue is supposed to ward off spirits. That's why I have 2 blue doors on my house because Emily liked that tradition and we kept it.
That's cool.
And like the name of haint blue seems like a little bit racist because like the whole term haint comes off as that way to me because it's a southern mispronunciation of the word haunt that refers to a spirit that a lot of times got reference to African Americans, and then white people who used it were the Klan. So
of course.
So but I thought this was really cool because you could ward off evil spirits with a blue door,
and it's a nice pleasant blue too.
Yeah. So and that was all the research and everything I've done that started with Granny Blackteeth up in Pennsylvania and made its way down to the south of these different witches near Appalachia and all these different cultures. And I definitely want us to look back at the Gullah Geechee because they have a lot of other really cool, unique views on things that we're somewhat familiar with here in Louisiana.
Yeah, I think like just getting into like the subcultures and everything would be fun just because America's big and it has like, despite, recent events, it has some cool things about it.
It does.
And like seeing like a different aspect of the hag, which again, we get into a little bit of the D&D aspect, but also like the Indo-European
right. So a lot of the negative connotations with the stories of the Boo Hag really are like a man getting tricked. There were actually a couple stories of the Boo Hag being like independent women. So I think the concept of the Boo Hag has different meanings to different people, and it's something I really would like to look more into.
Yeah.
So my sources are Spooky Appalachia, Granny Blackteeth, and Huggin' Molly. HuggandMolly.com, The Legend, which is the story that's on the restaurant's website. Overlooking Appalachia, Deep Roots of Witchcraft in Appalachia. North Carolina Ghosts, The Miller and the Witch. North Carolina Ghosts, Coast, the Boo Hag. Charleston Territories, Boo Hag. TheMoonLitRoad.com, Boo Hag. UCRU 2022, the Boo Hag discussion, death, and news article from I believe that was the college newspaper. GullahGeecheeCorridor.org, the official website of the Gullah Geechee culture, and because there is a park.
Oh, that's cool.
The whole islands is listed as the corridor is a cultural heritage spot that is to be protected by the federal government. Folklife.si.ed magazine, Appalachian Folk Magic. Learning Religions, Appalachian Folk Magic. Overlooking Appalachia, the Deep Roots of Witchcraft in Appalachia. And then I lost the 2 sources from Google Scholar.
I think you got a good bit, though.
Yeah, I looked at this for a minute, and there's so much more. But like, this is 100% backwoods, and especially like the last bit is 100% southern. Like that is.
I what I like about it is like it's not just backwoods; it's like transcendent in ways where it's not just like a spooky character or spooky spirit or specter that is out in the woods or something like that, or some unseelie fae that is like out to like manipulate you. It's like it's different things. It's like a cautionary tale. It's in the case of like granny magic, it's like oral tradition that has morphed into sort of its own folklore. It's a lot of different things, and I really like the kind of evolution and how you tied it all together.
Yeah, it's one of those that this started one place and ended somewhere else, and I was completely happy to go along on the trip.
Yeah. But yeah, we are Backwoods Obscura. We release every Tuesday. Sometimes we do social media, who knows? But we also do Team Bonus Action, which is our D&D stuff, which we talked about throughout this.
Yeah, Team Bonus Action is a group of friends who likes to play D&D, video games, other tabletop games, card games, board games. Hey, you know what? We just like to play games and stream them. And right now we are loosely affiliated with the Trevor Project. So if you can donate to them, we would greatly appreciate it. Or donate to the ACLU or St. Jude. Those are usually the charities for the first part of the year that we are teamed up with. So if you donate, we would greatly appreciate it and try to make the world a better place.
Yeah, and with that, I hope you have a good day or night or whatever time it is over there.
Hey, Chris, salt and pepper the skin.
Salt and pepper the skin. Make it nice and crispy.